Welcome everyone to this webinar. I'm Div. I'm a co-founder and CEO at WizCommerce, an AI-powered software platform that powers both wholesale sales teams as well as build B2B e-commerce websites. We have an amazing panel today. We have Amber, Nitesh, and Mia with us. I will let them quickly introduce themselves, and then we'll move on. We have quite a few interesting questions to cover today. So I'll start with Amber. Maybe Amber, you want to give a quick introduction to everyone?
For sure. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. My name is Amber Guyton. I am the founder and head designer at Blessed Little Bungalow. My interior design firm is based in Atlanta, Georgia. I started Blessed Little Bungalow as a blog 9 years ago and grew it into an interior design firm. I also am a content creator, a licensing partner, product designer. A lot of different things in the design world, and I'm excited to be a part of the conversation today.
Thanks for joining us, Amber. Nitesh, you want to go next?
Sure. Hi, everyone. This is Nitesh Chaudhary. I'm from Jaipur Living. This is our family business, started by my father about 50 years ago at this point. And we are now the world's largest handmade rug manufacturers, headquartered in India, and then our US operations based out of Atlanta. In US, we do wholesale, and designers are a big part of our business. And I believe that's why I'm here today to talk about that.
Mia, over to you.
Thank you, Dev. Hi, everyone. I'm Mia McMurray. I am one of the executive vice presidents at Abbyson Home. I have spent over a decade in the furniture and home decor industry. I've led teams across product development, branding, and digital transformation with a strong focus on wholesale and trade growth. Had the opportunity to work alongside some of the most incredible and talented brands and people in this industry. And I'm very excited to be here today and to share a few things that I've learned along the way.
Perfect. So I think just setting the stage, why are we here? Why are we doing this? I think over the past few years, interior designers have become one of the most important and slightly more complex buyer groups in the home furnishing space. And I think every week I meet customers who really want to break into that segment, really want to figure out how to break into that segment, how to service designers better. So I think today we'll sort of explore what it takes to understand, serve and scale this channel, especially as the designer profile, itself continues to evolve. I think just to start with, right, I'll kick it off to you, Amber. Maybe you can, as somebody who buys from multiple vendors, how have your expectations as a buyer evolved in the last 3 to 5 years?
Sure. Well, I mainly have residential clients. It is as much of a roller coaster as it is for the US American economy. So when COVID happened, everything paused, and being able to have vendors that were flexible and empathetic towards the things we were going through with client projects and delays and so on. And same for us to be empathetic with vendors. Just building a strong relationship to be able to know that, hey, we're in this together. I think as an interior designer, you're in control of nothing but blamed for everything. So it's very good to have strong partnerships from our tradesmen to our vendors. And so that's just become more important than ever in the past 3 to 5 years. Now, out of the COVID years and into what feels like or is definitely a recession and looming tariffs and all the things, again, it's being able to walk hand in hand with these partners during the ups and the downs. And so when you have those strong partnerships, these challenges are much easier to deal with.
Got it. I think, Amber, maybe you could talk about a few things that you wish more wholesalers understood about how designers specifically shop or like to buy products.
Sure. So I think a lot of design firms, a lot of times feel like these entrepreneurs are solopreneurs. It's one person making the decision. A lot of times they're juggling a lot of different clients. So if there's anything to make life easier for them, whether that's free samples or offering assistance when there's a delay or just a more personalized experience. I think it's helpful. I do a ton of brainstorming. I'm constantly thinking of new ideas to bring to my clients' homes. So, for example, I was in Cape Town for 2 weeks about a week ago, and there was just so much color and excitement and tile. And I was inspired by the coastline and all the things. And so, whether I'm pinning things on Pinterest or saving things on my phone, like a lot of times I have a lot of ideas, but I might not necessarily be ready to execute immediately. So having a vendor that's like flexible to that, that isn't so salesy and, hey, do you have anything you need to buy today? I think is helpful, like understanding that brainstorming and design process, like it truly takes time. And then even if you have all the answers, the clients can throw a wrench in that at any moment.
Mhm.
Makes sense. Makes sense, Mia. And Mia, does that mean that you work very closely with your sales reps at these wholesalers, and the role of sort of reps or account manager is very important in how you purchase?
Sorry, that was for me.
Yes, Amber, sorry. That was for you.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, you have to build relationships. You have to um know exactly um the best way to work with me. I know that wholesalers and vendors, they have tons of designers, right? I don't expect to have like this extra hyper personalized experience, but I do have a sales rep. I expect them to know like at least my design aesthetic. So they're not proposing things to me that wouldn't work with my design style. Also, like having a relationship where I can be a student, like I'm asking questions or I'm trying to learn more about the product, being able to have those conversations. I know everyone's time is very valuable, but if I have the time to ask a question, it's helpful to be able to get an answer quickly, or at least an explanation. I think all of those things just help to build your relationship with your reps and all your vendors over time.
Makes sense. Makes sense. I think I'll kick it off to Mia. And Mia, maybe from a wholesaler's point of view, maybe you can talk about the biggest shift you've seen in how designers buy. And I think compare and contrast with the retail channel, right? That was kind of the bread and butter for the industry for the longest time.
Yeah, I think the evolution of designers has been really exciting for our industry. And one of the things that I've noticed working for multiple brands is that designers are wanting to shop like an everyday consumer. So the biggest shift from a wholesale standpoint is the need for flexibility and immediacy. So traditional retailers, they operate on longer lead times, right? And scheduled buys and regimented replenishment models. Whereas designers, much like the end consumer, they need curated project-specific solutions. And oftentimes, to play off of Amber always being, having to take the brunt of things, they're working under really tight deadlines. And they have very highly personalized expectations uniquely amongst one another. So they're not just necessarily buying SKUs like a typical retailer buys. They're sourcing for stories, they're sourcing for spaces, and they're sourcing for clients. So that really changes everything from how we assort and also how we service our designer partners.
Got it. And Mia, specifically, how has this changed your approach towards merchandising? And I think that's something you're very passionate about. You spend a lot of time thinking about and helping brands you work with sort of go through the transition.
I mean, look, absolutely. This changes how we have approached merchandising and relationship building. And if anybody on this call works in wholesale and they are heavy with retailers, one of the big things I want to make sure I preface is that you can service both. And there is a way to speak to both segments and both channels of business. But you have to be really thoughtful about your merchandising and your relationship building, right? So like what we do now to help service not just retailers, top 100s, but also designers is we merchandise with intentional flexibility in mind. And this is something we talk about a lot. And what that essentially means is we're offering modularity, we're offering finish options, and we're offering tighter, more curated capsules that reflect how designers build a room. Again, though, while this is great for designers, this does not make your mix polarizing and off-putting to a top 100, because this type of merchandising also offers for retailers like designers the slot productivity. So I think that that's something to be cognizant of. You don't have to be one or the other. You just have to be able to be flexible, and you have to be able to adapt. And relationship wise, what's really important to designers, because they do work on these tight deadlines and they do have really high expectations, is you need to be able to set up your business to have a more concierge style partnership where we support our designers, not just as regular buyers, but designers are creatives, right? And we need to be able to support them as creatives, and we need to be able to give them faster coding tools, real-time availability, and visual assets that they can integrate into their own presentations. And that's a big difference with relationships regarding designers versus retailers.
Makes sense. I think Nitesh, going to you, I know every time we have a chat about technology or what you want to do next, your focus is like, hey, let's talk about what designers need. And that's where you kind of start every conversation from. And I think Jaipur Living just serves tens of thousands of designers. So what have you learned about the diversity of designer needs? And I think maybe from a more technology perspective, I think one thing Amber also alluded to was the order frequency is very different from how retailers buy. It's very project based. Taste differs by location, for example. So what signals are you tracking internally, maybe to better service this channel?
Yeah, like for us, and like the way we see it, right? Like designer is one channel, but then there are sub segments, that for us are very important, and we look at each of them very uniquely, right? So, I mean, there are independent designers, there are design firms, where it could be a design firm with 5 designers, a design firm with, 50 designers, and then there are design firms that only do for commercial hospitality space, right? And so these are the 3 broad segments, right? And the way we have structured our businesses, we service each of these 3 in a way. From the front, it seems like very same, but on the back end, we have very different teams that actually service these three channels, right? So that way we're able to give them more individual attention, right? Like I know, like Amber was mentioning about samples and stuff, right? So an independent designer, they need samples out quickly for a project they look at, right? Versus a design firm, a lot of them, they like to have a sample rack in their office, right? Which they can easily refer through, right? So you have to cater to that particular solution, right? And of course, if it's a commercial design firm, that does hospitality and stuff, they have their certain other needs, meeting their certification needs and all that stuff. So that, makes a difference, right? So now in the back end, of course, technology for us plays a very big role in terms of making this, come to life, right? And especially, let's say, around the stuff around shipping, there's a lot of stuff around, I think, being easy to work with, right? I think what Amber had also mentioned, right? So like how internally we do a cultural, the company culture as well in terms of meeting that need. And, like one of our business values is, be easy to work with, right? And it's very, very much important when the designer you're working with, at the end, they're also a consumer, right? So you need to have that, flexibility and, the structure in place to service them more on an individual basis. Of course, relationship is important, but like when a designer comes to our website, like they're going to see products recommended to them based on what they buy, rather than us showing them a 10,000 page catalog.
Yeah.
So.
Got it. I think Amber, you did speak about this a little bit, right? Like great service. So, curate things for me, recommend things that are according to my taste. Maybe let's go a little bit deeper into that. Like, what does great service look like to you? And then I would also want you to contrast, like, are there certain things that bigger brands do better than smaller brands, or vice versa? Like, are smaller brands providing you better service compared to bigger brands?
Oh man, so I would say I definitely feel more catered to by smaller brands. But there's also like Nitesh spoke to about being easy to work with, like for them to be family owned, as large as they are, and having a rep like at Jaipur, like I feel like if I pick up the phone and I leave a voicemail, I'm going to get a call back, by the end of day. I'm going to be able to ask for things, or if I'm in a bind with something. I worked with them actually for a show house 2 years ago, and I have another show house coming up this year that hasn't been announced yet, but they're the first on my list because I know I'm going to need rugs, right? So those interactions, they matter. I think that there's another example I can give. I got an email yesterday from a custom closet company that's local in Atlanta, and they let me know that they stopped by my client's house to give a consultation for the laundry room, and they saw the nursery I just designed for their new child. Now, they were newlyweds and were just building the house when we all worked together 3 years ago, but her just taking the time to send me an email to compliment the nursery and check on me and see how I'm doing, versus, hey, do you have any projects I can help work on? You know what I mean? Like just those little small things. I think whether you're a company that's big or small, that personalization, that humanness in a world where everything feels like it's AI and automated, and those tools have a place. But being able to have that human connection matters a lot to me, especially as a smaller firm. And I don't think that is isolated only to other small companies. I think larger companies, a lot of them do a great job of that, and there's definitely opportunity for many of them to do a better job.
Got it. Got it. So I think just taking a segue from there to you, Nitesh. So I think you guys went through a very big exercise of like reshaping your sales team to cater to this better, right? And servicing tens of thousands of designers. I think one thing that I have heard from a lot of companies is that sales reps are not very comfortable sometimes servicing this channel because it's very different. They're used to getting like container orders, and suddenly you are, you know,
Yeah.
the order sizes are different. It's less frequent. So, what changes did you make internally to your sales team or overall org structure to like cater to this? Provide that service that Amber just spoke about, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, you know what, like if I think about it, like we have 5 different types of sales team in the business right now, right? So one part of sales team is mainly focused on independent designers, right? Because most of the independent designers work out of home. They don't need in person someone to come and visit them. They don't need that. So we call them inside sales. So a good part of what they do is servicing that particular designer. The second is the design firms. Again, most of them need in person, someone to come in person, show them all the new products, new swatches, and to update this swatch library. So that's another second part of a sales team, right? And the third is the commercial, right? The commercial design team, designers, right? So very similar to design firms, but their needs are also different, right? So trying to have one person sell through all 3 of them can get very confusing for the salesperson as well, right? I think you're setting up them for failure, right? And then another sales team members are the one who focus on retail, right? Larger retail channels, right? So Home Depots and all those parts of the world, right? So again, if you put that person trying to sell to independent designer, then again, you're not doing justice to yourself, to your customers, or to that salesperson, right? And then of course there's the online channel. So, you do need a very different focus based on whom you're serving, and ensure, the people that are being hired in those structures are the right ones. So you don't want to put someone who's used to taking a container order and then have them sell to a designer. It's not going to work.
Makes sense. And Mia, like maybe you can speak a little bit about where you found kind of success scaling the designer engagement. I think there's several channels to communicate today and to send the messages out. So what has worked for you, like just to nurture these relationships and like provide for a better buying experience?
Yeah. From like a marketing perspective, something that we notice is younger, more independent designers, they're typically a digital first and community driven type consumer. So they're discovering brands on Instagram and saving ideas on Pinterest before they ever even go to a trade show. So what's really important is making sure that your content can shift to become a more visually compelling and mobile friendly experience, but it needs to also feel authentic. So when it feels as if it is, very sterile and it doesn't feel curated and purposeful, they're automatically turned off by it. So you want to make sure that your digital presence is it's built for creatives, right? To go back, designers are creatives. And I think something that I've seen work for other organizations that we've implemented is like moving towards like micro education, right? Like quick how-tos, install videos, storytelling over specs. We've found that that is a very quick way to get responsiveness from designers that you may not be doing business with today. And in conjunction with that, hosting panels, being a part of ASID, and allowing your show space to be a space where they feel as if they are welcomed and you're really diving into that community driven experience.
Got it. And Amber, how does that resonate with you? Are you finding wholesalers more on Instagram and Pinterest, or more than High Point? Are those channels more important than High Point today?
I'm so glad you asked, and I'm glad Mia brought this up. Yes, I'm a true millennial. Like, I love Instagram. I'm on there all the time. Pinterest. I have I probably have pages like I definitely have a page for rug love. So if I see a rug that I like, whether that's on Instagram, Pinterest, in the retail world, I'm pinning it, I'm adding it. And those are the first places I'm going to when I'm brainstorming for a client, because I have boards on Pinterest for each client project, and I have individual sections for each room in the home. So I agree completely with Mia about being a digital first designer. I'm looking online as I'm seeing something like, oh, what I call cabinet jewelry, hardware. Oh, that's really beautiful. I'm not doing a kitchen right now, but I'm gonna file this away so that I know like to go back to it. I have something to refer back to, a visual, versus starting from scratch. And how Nitesh and Mia also mentioned, like, I don't want to search a catalog, go to your website and go through 50 pages of options. Like, I want to be able to be very specific in my searchability, looking for pink armchair or whatever, and know and trust that the site is going to give me exactly what I'm looking for. So I don't have to depend on Pinterest or even Google image search to find those things. So yes, I would say social media is a huge driver. I say I'm a millennial. I'm also an elder millennial, so I'm not as big into TikTok. But TikTok also is a huge place where people are discovering new brands. I feel like when I go on Pinterest or Instagram, I'm constantly seeing large and smaller brands advertise there. Wallpaper, for example, I feel like they're doing a great job on Pinterest. It's very easy to find new brands and new patterns. They're releasing new products all of the time. In a place where there's hundreds of thousands of options to choose from for wallpaper, right? So I think that as things evolve, it's important to just continue to embrace that change and embrace social, because it's not going away, and it's a lot more popular, I think, than people think.
Makes sense. Got it. And I just wanted to say to the audience that, please feel free to post your questions, and we can sort of take them as we are covering those topics. I think just moving to the next section, I think you can't do a panel discussion these days and not talk about AI. So I think we're going to sort of dive a little bit into that. But just moving beyond the buzzwords and just, talking a little bit more about what's the real impact and, real sort of friction to adoption. So maybe Amber, from your side, I mean, we are seeing startups every day. Some claim to just become designers, like, hey, just put your room picture and we'll design the room for you. So that's one side of the spectrum. And then I think there's another side where designers can really leverage these tools, right, to service their clients better. So talk to us a little bit about, where like I think AI sort of can improve your workflow, right from sourcing to like maybe servicing clients.
Sure. Thank you for the question. It's a good question. It's a touchy subject. I think with any industry right now, people are kind of fearful of AI in the same way that they're fearful of computers and technology and automated systems, taking human jobs. But I think the best approach to this, especially for someone like me that's kind of like knows enough to be dangerous, but still is kind of old school in a lot of ways, that AI is a tool. So whether you're using that for renderings or helping you update the templates of your documentation that you send your clients, whether that's a questionnaire or presentation. AI is the tool to help you work harder, smarter, not harder. And so if you're not using it, you can bet your clients are. Right? Like whether they're going into Chat GPT and they made a mood board on their own in Canva, and they would dump that in Chat GPT and said, "Hey, can you make a rendering based on this photo of my home?" And it spits it back out. And you know, designers are like flabbergasted. They're just like, "Oh my gosh, it's going to take my job." But if you're doing your job well, then you're already offering a lot of those things, like renderings, where that used to be a luxury in the past. Like it's almost a bare minimum now. So how are you evolving with your clients' needs? How are you providing visuals? How are you providing resources and helping them at a quicker pace or at a pace that they desire? And you just need to be able to evolve to meet that need. I saw a clip of a podcast earlier today, and the guy was just basically like, a lot of businesses fail because they get so caught up in their own products that then the client gets loyal to their products and they think, okay, I've got them for life. But then the minute the client's problem changes, their product might not be a solution for that anymore. So like, but they're like, but no, like, take this product, you loved it before. Like, no, you have to fall in love with the client, and you have to fall in love with offering them solutions to their problems. And as designers, like Mia mentioned, we're not just creators and storytellers, we're problem solvers. We're fixing problems every day, so we have to make sure we have the right tools in our box to make that happen, and AI is one of them.
Makes sense. And Amber, are there any parts of the experience and just working with the clients where you feel like less automation is better? Like I wouldn't let AI touch that part of my workflow.
I'm having a conversation with my business manager about that. Oh, I had it yesterday. It's ongoing. But yeah, there's parts of the onboarding process that I just don't want to automate. I feel like the human touch is needed. For a lot of designers, the inquiry process to discovery call or a questionnaire, like maybe they're not even touching or interacting with the potential client until the consultation. And I think that is fine, but I still feel like, especially as someone who is really the face of their business and has 144,000 Instagram followers, and people recognize me, like they want to work with me. So I want to make sure that my business always feels personal, and that if they have an issue, they can pick up the phone, like with boundaries, but like having that connection. And so yeah, that's one thing that I try to manage. Even though I'm scaling my business and my team, I want to make sure that I always maintain that personal touch.
Got it. I think kicking it off to you, Nitesh, you're the tech guru in this group. So where is AI genuinely delivering ROI in wholesale, and how are you leveraging it within the company?
Yeah, I mean, like with AI, I feel we're always early on, right? And trying to, because by the time you adopt something, there's something new already out there, right?
Yeah.
So, and I think what Amber also said, right? Like AI is not going to replace relationships. At the end, relationship, that human connection is very much important, right? And even when we also look at a designer journey, right? When they work with consumers, they figure out the project, scope the project, and then work with suppliers like us, right? So one thing is AI doesn't capture emotion, right? And what designers do well is they take that emotion of the consumer and translate that emotion and the vision into a real project, right? Or in a beautiful space, right? So keeping that in mind, right, where we feel and where we are, I think, heavily investing on our side, we have had some early success here is using AI, especially for a lot of the transactional level questions, right? Because we get a ton of that, right? With thousands of designers and, just the just the volume that we have. It's like, how can you improve your response times, right? So, for example, right now we have about in 80% of our inquiries are answered in about 2 hours, right? 2 business hours. That's an SLA that we try to maintain internally, right? With AI, ultimately, our goal at the end of the year is to get down to maybe 30 minutes responding, right? And where we have seen majority of that information AI can collect, you have all your technology in place, order statuses, what's happening with this FedEx delivery and all that stuff, right? So a lot of that legwork, um, it can help our team members, both from the sales and service standpoint, assist, right? Create the drafts for them, but then at the end of the day, we do want a human to get back to
Yeah.
each and every customer, keep that touch.
Yeah. And I think that's something that also came out when we spoke to a lot of the sales reps. Like, I think I haven't spoken to a rep who doesn't love working with the designer, helping them out. But I think they're drowned with like administrative tasks. I think just finding answers to questions or just responding to queries. So I think a lot of the way in which we also see our roadmap is like, how do you free them up to do the actual part of the job, right? Like, be more personalized, etc. And I think we figured out like there's about 4 hours in the day that you can actually save them if you
Yeah.
apply AI and give them the data
And
at their fingertips, and that eventually helps.
yeah, and just to add, right, this you and I have spoken about this, right? Like at the end of the day, we want our sales team, our customer service team to be in front of the customer as much
Yeah.
as possible, and then take the grunt work out of their to-dos, right, in a way. So that way they can focus on maintaining relationship, because that's what's drive the business at the end of the day.
Yeah. And Mia, I think of course AI is also changing everything about marketing and merchandising, and I think there's a ton of efficiency that you can add to the process now. So what are some of the things that you're seeing in your area of expertise where you're using AI?
Yeah, I'd love to get 4 hours back in my day every day too. So, um, I think that one thing that personally I love AI. I think what it does is it forces you to be smarter, right? Because it's taking the monotony out of the day-to-day work. And one thing that I think would be really great that maybe we could give 6 hours of time back to Nitesh's sales associates a day is if we could find ways to allow the project experience to become even more seamless via AI, like an AI powered resource hub that would dynamically serve client designers exactly what they need. It would automatically give them all of their spec sheets, CAD files, pricing, lead times, and shoppable mood board assets based on what they have been browsing or sourcing before. Right. I think, it would be great if we can take AI and all of the capabilities of AI, because it is not an emotional tool. It is a strict data-based tool. And we could take that and we could allow it to curate SKUs based on our designer's aesthetic or the designer's client's needs based on prior searches or inputted searches. And then we can automatically generate downloadable asset kits instantly. Like you could get a kit downloaded for client ABC automatically ready to go, and it can give you a client-facing presentation. We spend a lot of our time on the monotony and on the admin type work, when, to Nitesh's point, this is a relationship-based business. So I think that continuing to push ourselves to creatively think around AI and work with our partners, such as like WizCommerce and other partners out there that we have that are heavily focused in AI. How do we push them to allow us to evolve? Otherwise, we will fall behind and be a more dinosaur type industry and archaic compared to others.
Yeah. And I think one of the features we launched that people just really loved, and it was like, we didn't know the kind of response it was like, basically you can upload an image and it automatically gives back like the products that match. And our goal is to like make it actually a mood board search. So you can actually upload a mood board so that people can actually send those presentations. Because one of the things that we heard from reps was like, we asked them, if we give you back 2 hours, what would you do? And they said, I would actually make presentations all day long so that I can actually service my design.
Yeah, and if we could have AI recommend similar coordinating pieces automatically in that mood board in the presentation, you're going to not only cut sourcing time for the essays, but you're also going to automatically boost your cart value. I mean, there's just so many added benefits to really embracing and utilizing the tools available now.
Yeah, makes sense. I think we'll take some audience questions quickly. I think so one of the questions is, what KPIs actually matter when tracking designer channel growth? Like, is it average order value, repeat rate, time to order? And I'll open it up, like whoever sort of wants to answer, Nitesh, Mia. I think Amber, this one is not for you.
Mia, you want to go ahead or you want me to take this?
I can, yeah. I think it's so when you talk about what is the most important KPI when you're looking at your clientele base or a key designer, I think that there's a lot of variables to that. There's not one child that we love more than the other child. We love all our children, right? So it's really, what do all of the KPIs mean at the end of the day to the business, right? Because if you were to just essentially say my main KPI is my client's AOV, right? Well, you could have a client that buys once a year, and while they may make these are arbitrary numbers, but let's say you have one client that makes $100,000 order once a year, that's great, but that's a very transactional business. Whereas you have another client, Amber, you get to be my guinea pig in this, and Amber buys $87,000 from me a year. Well, if I were looking strictly at the KPI of average order value or total sales for a year, I would think that my one time a year client is more important than Amber, but that's not the case, because Amber is a repeat client of mine. And while she may not have purchased $100,000 in a given year, again, arbitrary numbers, and she purchased $87,000 this year, what she's doing for me, it not only has, of course, like physical value by giving me 87K during the year, but she's doing much more than that I cannot put a monetary value on, which she is now a representative of my company. She has come back to me 4 times this year, buying a total of $87,000 of pieces, and she's using them for her projects, and my name is getting spread through her mouth. And I think that, yes, we can look at the numbers. Numbers don't lie, but there's a lot of gray area when you're really looking at your designers and your clientele base, because there's a lot of value to your designers that don't necessarily have tangible monetary value or tangible measurable units on top of the designer. Again, this goes back to what we were saying earlier. It's relationship based. So yes, there's black and white. Of course, we want people to buy a lot from us. At the end of the day, money does make our businesses go round, but there's a lot of gray area in this question, in my opinion, and from my experience. I don't know, Nitesh, if you have anything to add to that.
Yeah, I mean, again, and just going back to what I said before, right? Just really segmenting the designers, an independent designer versus the design firms also, again, with different numbers of designers, right? It can really make a difference in terms of how much business you can expect out from here, right? And especially for an independent designers, they can have one client who's doing a $5 million home, and next year then they have 2 clients who are just doing $1 million homes each, right? So that can really vary the AOV at the end of the day, right? But what we look at on our end, at least, is the repeat rate, right? So like we do, like from an independent designers, like we would love to see at least 2 to 3 orders a year, But from a design firm with 10 plus designers, we would ideally like to see about 2 orders a month. So, again, it's very project driven, right? So again, numbers are fine, but to Mia's point, it's also about that relationship and really understanding where the client is at that point of the year. Just can't be fully number driven.
Comes back to like segmenting the clients really, really well and knowing sort of that behavior,
Exactly.
right? Tracking accordingly.
Exactly.
Makes sense. Um,
Nitesh, I liked Mia's answer better. I felt more important.
You were a really good guinea pig. Thank you for the participation.
Oh, good. I'm just joking.
Um, cool. I think folks, like, since we are on the AI topic, I think there's something on the AI front that we have been doing. So I'll kick it off to Shefali, our director of marketing, and we'll just take 30 seconds to show you something we think is really cool, and comes back to a lot of topics we've spoken about, like merchandising, mood boards, and things like that.
Hey, thank you, Devanshu. And I must say, very interesting conversation that's going on. Sorry to interrupt the conversation, but I'm very excited to talk about a new product we have just launched. The problem we are solving with this solution is that many companies, especially wholesale companies, invest heavily in lifestyle imagery to market their products, particularly to designers. However, at WizCommerce, with AI, we are revolutionizing this process by creating high quality lifestyle images at a fraction of the cost. And I would like to show you a quick demo of this new offering. So this is the product Wiz Studio. All you need to do is upload your own product image that you have. Let's say you have this fabric chair. So you upload it, and then you have to choose a setting placement. Or let's say you want to put this in a living room. When you click this, a description of the scene automatically populates. However, you can change it as per your requirement. And then the last step is to just click on this button, generate. And what our product does is that it generates 5 different variations of this product in a lifestyle, in a living room setting. So this is the first variation. This is second, third, fourth, and this is the fifth one. Now you can download this image, whichever image you like, you can simply download it, and that's it. This is how easy it is to now generate a product image through AI.
And our vision, by the way, for the audience, is to make this a fully marketing tool. So you can actually create Instagram stories, you can actually create Pinterest content using this tool over time. But this is where we've kind of started tackling the problem statement. Cool. I think
Yeah, if I may add, that if anyone is interested to learn more about this offering or WizCommerce in general, I will share a meeting link in the chat box after this. So you feel free to schedule a meeting with us, and we would love to show you what we are doing, what we are building at WizCommerce, especially with AI. Thank you. Thank you for the time.
If there are any other questions from audience, we're happy to take them now. Otherwise, I think we can sort of go towards summarizing the discussion that we've had today. And maybe Amber, we'll start off with you again. If you want to just summarize the 3 gaps in sales process that you see today when you're working with wholesalers, and if resolved will make wholesale a much more attractive option for you.
For sure. I would say the first is just going back to a lot of what we spoke about, relationships. I am not going to trust you and want to work with you or continue to work with you, be a repeat or a loyal client and customer if there's not a relationship there. So nailing the basics with communication and being able to deliver is important. I would say another one would be not just being available when things go wrong, but when things go right as well. Like I mentioned, having participated in show houses in the past, a lot of times those opportunities are sponsored opportunities or brand partnerships and things. So having flexibility and being a great partner, not just when it hits your sales line. And then I would end it with saying accessibility, like um, going back to our conversation about searchability on your site, being able to find things easily when I need them. It's so important. I would hope that, the best partners in wholesale like have an expansive website that's easy to search on. And if anything, if I do need to interact with someone, it's not just a chat box that's going to be automated and give me answers that aren't helpful. Being able to have that human element. So a good balance between technology and accessibility through personalization is important.
Got it. Thank you so much for that, Amber. Going back to you, Mia, based on your extensive marketing experience, if you wanted to just summarize the couple of best ways to sort of market to designers, what would those be?
Yeah, marketing designers, look, it starts with respecting their role as both creative and business owner. And really what that means is from a marketing standpoint, you need to be leading with inspiration. So strong visuals, trend forward styling, and the stories behind the design, the why behind the buy. But it also means, in my opinion, most importantly, backing that up with ease of doing business, right? Clean spec sheets, swatches on demand, a seamless path from mood board to order. And I think the third part would be finally authenticity. It matters. We talked about that a couple times during this conversation. Designers can spot over marketed fluff. So you need to be real, you need to be useful, and most importantly, you need to stay consistent with who you are as a brand and an organization.
Perfect. And Nitesh, based on your experience of working with designers, what do you think the future of this channel is, and how do you see it sort of growing as a part of like sort of Jaipur living, and maybe a couple of initiatives you're taking towards that end?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely see this designer channel growing, and this is something we are actually, as a business, we're doubling down on, right? So we're trying to figure out how do we double the number of designers who we work with, right? So, and I would say like now with our technology, and of course we did WizCommerce recently, we upgraded our entire tech stack, right? Just last month. So a lot is now catered in terms of giving that personalized service, right? What I think Amber talked about at the very start, right? Like, sure, it could be a small or a big business. It should not matter. Every designer needs to be important, right? So, so for us to make sure that the designer, whether they talk to our sales team or the customer service team, how can they get a very, very personalized service, and it's not a chat bot or or a robot talking to them. It's very much important when we talk about and in general, that's how, and we see the growth of just in home industry in general, right? If you look at any direct to consumer brand now, even in the home industry, all of them have a channel for designers, so no one's ignoring that, right? And everyone's now realizing, like with everyone, I mean, whether it's wholesale or even direct to consumer brands who are in that space, are also realizing that it's a very important channel. You could be selling to a consumer directly, but you can't ignore designers.
Yeah, I think Wayfair is making a major push, it seems, towards the designer channel as well. It's interesting, they're buying from you and then selling to designers, and all the wholesalers can also do that directly, so definitely. But perfect. I think thank you so much, Amber, Nitesh, and Mia, for this very engaging discussion. I think I've gotten a lot of learnings that I'm going to take back to my team and tell them like things we need to improve on our offerings to help wholesalers service better, designers better. So thank you so much for taking out time and answering my questions and audience questions so patiently. If anybody has any other questions they would like to get answers to, maybe you couldn't ask today, like feel free to email us and we'll try and get those answers from our amazing panel and send it back to you. But thanks for everyone for joining this.
Thank you all so much. This was awesome.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thanks. Have a great rest of your week, everyone.
Thanks.
You too.
Thanks all. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.